6:33. And we will open it up to anyone in the public who would like to share a few words. Anyone?
I'd like to just say that I think you're a great communicator. Send out emails, keep us informed. That's how I found out about this meeting. Never been to one. Curious to see how it's run and what the topics are. They look pretty interesting. Happy to give input at any point.
Would you like to share? All right. Any additions to the agenda? Okay. Okay, so we'll just approve the agenda. We'll just move on to special presentations. So we have HSN here. Is that?
Yeah.
Right. Just want to introduce yourself and go to the presentation.
Awesome. I think I shared some slides if it's helpful.
Did you send it to me?
No, you're up.
That's good.
Sorry.
It's the highlights.
Are you going to be able to join?
With this.
I know. Okay. So my name is okay. Awesome. So my name is Asia Hunter, and I'm the Youth Projects Director with the Homeless Services Network of Central Florida, located right across the street. And today I asked that one of our lovely partners, Renee from Saw Outreach, that she join me to help talk about a new initiative that we have. And I don't want to assume that everybody knows what the Homeless Services Network does, for short HSN, but we serve as the lead agency on supporting our unhoused community members, and we do that primarily by bringing in federal, local, state dollars and coordinating efforts around rental assistance, locating low and affordable housing opportunities, and also collaborating with some very great partners in the community to provide supportive services to those that we are housing and assisting. So we work with many populations, but today I'm here to talk to you all about a population that's very near and dear to my heart, and that's youth and young adults. The youth and young adults that we have seen show up in our system, just so you can get an idea, across the 3 counties, Orange, Osceola, and Seminole, last year we had around 1,500 youth and young adults showing up seeking support for housing. These are head of households, so they're not a company. They are the adult and the household seeking housing, and that number was very heavy. And I think we all understand where we are right now with the state of homelessness in our community. While we have a lot of resources out there, and we are housing more people than ever, and more people are slipping into homelessness, and youth and young adults are a part of that group. And the reason is very vast, whether it's because they had to separate from their families, because their families lost their properties because of taxes, or whatever the case may be, or if they were kicked out. Youth and young adults are experiencing homelessness, and we're finding them outside in the woods, we're finding them sleeping in cars, we're finding them in abandoned buildings, and they are couch surfing. So we were able to bring in some new resources to increase our capacity to support youth and young adults. Prior to this capacity, we were able to serve probably close to around 90 young people with rental assistance and housing opportunities. We've more than tripled that number with this new influx of resources, and that initiative is called the Brighter Days Community Initiative. So early on, we sat with the community, we did some needs assessments, we sat with young people to hear about what was happening and how they were entering into homelessness and what the barriers around housing and employment and advancement were. And they were very clear to tell us that they were experiencing a lot of challenges with their families being separated, a lot of challenges in trying to reach stability. And they told us what they needed. They needed more housing opportunities, and they needed a drop-in center where they can get their needs met, and they needed some increased supportive services and case management. I'll go all the way back to the beginning. Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, you can go past that, yeah, past that. Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
It's been a day.
There you go. Great. Great. So we heard that these were some of the needs. Youth and young adults wanted to have their basic needs met, and Renee will talk a lot about the drop-in center. We heard that they needed caring adults that would help them navigate a very tricky and challenging system, which is the homelessness response system, and how to get services and supports and housing. And we heard that they needed diverse housing to fit their needs. So we were able to sit with them. We were able to hear about these needs, pull together some resources, bring a lot of partners to the table to help us to do this work. And I'm happy to say that we have grown from having an inventory dedicated to youth of 90 housing opportunities to now a little over 250. So with this new resource, we're able to diversify our housing opportunities. So now we can offer temporary and short-term housing for max up to 2 years. We can offer long-term housing, which is largely rental assistance for a max of 3 years. We do have a small portion of dollars that can help youth that what we know that they might have disabilities and struggle with living independently. We can house them with permanent supportive housing, which is even longer than 3 years of housing and rental assistance support. And then also new to our community will be host homes. We are working with a provider Empower that's going to really lead this effort and working and putting the ask out to community members. If you have a spare bedroom, if you have space within your house, would you mind taking in a young person and helping them out while we figure out what long-term solutions will look like. And we're calling this project Host Home. And this project is actually something that I'm very excited about because up until this point, we have only been able to house youth and young adults between the ages of 18 and up. Host homes are going to be allowed to house young people minors starting at the age of 16. And we'll be working very closely with the Orange County Public School District to do this work. So again, who we serve, this initiative is aimed to support youth and young adults 16 to 24. We are working across all of our 3 counties, Orange, Osceola, and Seminole. We are prioritizing funding for those that are literally homeless. So these are young people that are sleeping outside in cars and shelters, transitional housing, or hotels that are not paid for by themselves. And then also a new initiative is we're going to be working to we are housing young people that will become homeless within 14 days. So prior to that, you had to be experiencing homelessness to get resources. Now we're able to bring in an influx of resources. We can catch you before you're sleeping outside, before you have to sleep in a car, which is a big deal for youth and young adults on how to intervene early. And then we also are prioritizing those that are fleeing domestic violence and that also have been victims of other violent crimes like human trafficking.
Any more questions at the end, or?
I can take them there.
I was just curious, a number of years ago when I was in grad school at UCF, we were working on identifying, so of course we have a large youth homeless population who are students at UCF and Valencia. I was just curious how have you all been working with those specific groups as well? Okay.
UCF, Valencia, Seminole State, we have our major players at the table. They actually sit on a committee that I chair within HSM. We have an Education and Workforce Committee. So they actually came to the table. UCF was one of our early champions of the Host Home Project, UCF and Valencia, to kind of tell us about the need and the gap. And when youth are finished school for the summers or extended breaks, they don't have a place to go. So the Host Home program, because it is short term, it's meant to be short term, we're able to provide stipends to community members that open up their homes. This is a project that we will prioritize some of the students that during those breaks, they don't have a place to go and they might be housing.
That's wonderful. So I remember we were just in the initial stage of identifying, trying to identify which students were in need at UCF at that time. And that's in the sociology program.
Yes.
And so I'm glad to see that this has all been moving forward. That's excellent.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And we're actually working with one of their research professors over there at UCF, and they're helping us to understand our data and how the influx, how people are coming into the system. And we have some neat projects going on to kind of look at our data for youth and young adults and what the best outcomes and best support look like. Yes, great question.
To ask you, how do you find the people that are in need of your services? Because in my neighborhood, I live just outside of downtown.
Yes.
And we've had rural rise and people sleeping in their cars. They're just sleeping. They park their cars and the street parking space, and they'll stay there for the maximum number of days that they can stay, and then they'll move their car because they know what the schedule is, and then they have their stuff in the car. So I know they're living out of their cars.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure, like, how do you
people connect.
connect the people in need with your services?
Yeah, so one of our like main ways is calling 211, and they do some screening and intake. And 211, they serve as like a connector and a resource guide across all of our counties, and they connect people. But we also, if a person goes into a shelter, we also have hubs, what we call hubs, in which we staff. We have our staff members that show up there, and people are able to walk in and get intake done. But then also, one of the new ways that youth and young adults can get connected is through a drop-in center. We were able to prioritize some funding and bring in some other state dollars to really stand up a drop-in center that is mobile. And so Renee will talk about their mobility and like just driving around and navigating the 3 counties to be able to connect youth and young adults to services. So we are continuing to roll that out. People call us all the time. I get emails all the time like, hey, see this young person, I see this young family. Is there any way that you can connect them? And we're dispatching what we call system guides for collaborate, and we're asking if we can get the transportation to get to the drop-in center, and now also working hopefully sooner rather than later to really coordinate our efforts around being mobile and going out there to find them. But that's a short, long answer. So we know we have a lot of work to do to market a system of support. What we do find is that young people that know about services, they have been a part of systems, and they kind of are able to navigate systems a little better. But there's a whole
They may know where to look, but
yeah.
I suspect that there are people that find themselves in this situation that don't have any experience with where they can find this kind of help. So I don't know what the solution might be, but it seems to me that getting the information out to the community, you know, and at the same time, I think it's kind of like, I don't talk to these people about their living situation. I'm aware, you know, they're there, but I don't know. It's kind of, I guess what I'm saying is it can be a sensitive topic in the community too, but you still need to reach into the community to find the people that are needed.
Thankfully, we're partnering with some experts over at Thought Outreach that are very skilled at navigating those conversations, skilled and knowing where the hotspots are and how to dispatch their teams and other drop-in centers. So it's a growing process, and we have to get better at it. But I'm hoping through this initiative, we're able to kind of wave the flag and share more about the resources and draw more people to come and access the rental assistance that we have.
I was gonna say, it sounds like this group, the youth and young adult, you're not really dealing with any kind of mental problems or issues. It's mainly they've been disassociated from their family somehow, and they need help and assistance right away.
We deal with all young people, right? So some young people might have mental health challenges, or it might be in their journey of getting a diagnosis or becoming aware. So yes, we do run across young people that just struggle, and some that don't.
Right.
Yeah.
But you have resources you can refer them to.
Yeah.
Get help.
Yes, like I say, we are housing first, but not housing only. So they do get assigned to case managers, and case managers help them navigate whether they need to be connected to other services like counseling or therapy, diagnosis or medical or treatment or whatever, jobs, employment, school, and all of that. Yeah. So the job is to house them and for them to stay housed. And that means that after we pull away the rental assistance, they need to be resourced enough to be able to maintain that housing. Turn it over to Renee to speak a little bit about how we can direct youth and young adults to get some of the services, and speak to the point that this gentleman raised about just getting connected.
So as Aja said, I'm Renee. I'm the youth director with SALT Outreach, the lead job service agency for this project. And just to let you know a little bit about what we do at SALT. We are a drop-in center, so some of the services that we offer include showers and laundry services. We do have mobile trailer units with showers and laundry. Additional services that we offer include case management / navigation services. So we have case managers on site that if a youth needs assistance with housing, or they just need to talk, and you know they have an issue that they're going through, our case managers are on site to assist them with some of those things. We do partner with Phoenix Mental Health Counseling to provide individual and group therapy for youth and young adults. And we also have an area where our youth can come in and just be away from the harsh weather conditions. They can come there and get meals, charge their devices, get clothing, get hygiene products, and just be among peers in a safe environment. Some additional services that we provide right now, we do have someone that comes in and does expressive arts with our youth and young adults. We also have activities set up for them every week. We are also hoping to add some lifestyle classes and some skills training for our youth so that when they do transition into housing, they would have learned some of those skills that they need to be independent and maintain housing. So for our hours of operation and location, we do operate from Sunday to Thursdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And during this time, we provide services to our general population, but our youth can still come in and get the services that they need. Because we are closed on Fridays, we generally open for our youth ages 16 to 24. So they can come in on a Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and get more youth-focused services. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, as I said, we have mobile units. So we usually go out to other counties. Right now, we go out to Seminole County on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we usually set up at the Rescue Mission shelter. There we can serve the population of youth that are there with showers and laundry and case management services. We have also been going to some of the camps out there in Seminole County to find some of those youth and young adults in those hard to reach areas. And for Osceola County, we're still working on a location where we can operate and provide some of these services as well.
I have a question. So are these hours just during the summer? Because if you're focused on youth, shouldn't they be in school during school time?
16 to 24. So the hours, so after school, I think there is some opportunity for minors to come in and like what that looks like. And we do have other drop-in centers that we partner with that have extended hours as well. And we are working on like being flexible and responding as school picks back up as we launch this really in the summertime. So I think there's some flexibility there, but yeah.
Yeah, so we're open all. And soon to come, we are working on a new location for youth-specific services. So we are in the process of getting everything that we need for that location so that we will be able to open more days per week in Orange County to serve more of our youth here.
When can we expect that facility to open?
Within a few weeks, we're hoping. So we're just in the process of getting the space ready for our youth. So more information to come on that.
And we'll blast that information community-wide and do like a work with folks to do a big write-up and a big launch around that so people can know that they're there and how to get connected.
So that will be your third drop-in service center?
So that will be our second drop-in service.
That will be your second?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the one you got, yeah.
So the main location that we're at right now, we're mainly serving our general population, but we're open for youth on Fridays because we don't have a youth-specific location just yet.
Recently looking for space in the
Yes.
particular requirements.
I think one of the main things is just for our youth to have that area where they can come in and get those services. So if they have an area where we can set up computers, we can probably do some of those classes that I mentioned. and just an area where we can set up more mobile trailer units so that they can get showers and laundry.
I have a kind of a specific question, just because I'm actually digging into a lot of the point in time data and the American Community Survey, trying to do some work for Commissioner's office. But one thing I wanted to ask you all about is I noticed on the last point in time count from 2023 that's available, there was I think 89 unaccompanied youth. Is that number still increasing? I know with sort of the immigration issue at the border and increasing numbers of unaccompanied youth coming in, are we still seeing those numbers increasing here in the metro statistical area?
The numbers are always going to be increasing. Our count is only as good as we're able to find. Even young adults, I think it's important that we all know that even young adults are most of the time hiding because they don't want to sometimes. I think another important context to know is we've been housing young people right now. The majority, over 50%, are young families. So these are young parenting adults. And so a lot of times they are sleeping in their car. They are sleeping outside, so they are hiding. They don't want to be jumped. They don't want their children to be taken. So our point in time count, we have to get better. We are working with some young people to kind of come alongside of us and help us with our planning to get a little bit more creative so that we can get a better and accurate count. But yeah, that number, it will continue to grow. And what we did find was out of that number, about 60% have said that they have been unhoused and sleeping outside for over a year. So that is the breadth.
I've done the point in time count before years ago, and I've talked about it in the office. I'm like, you have to get on this. It is an experience.
Yeah.
From, I've been looking into the housing policy for a while, and he's been all on it.
Yeah.
That's cool. I was interested about that because, again, like back when before I was working here and focusing on this, like, unaccompanied minors weren't a concern. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't even on the radar back then. And now I see that it's like this increasing problem. So I was just curious.
And as myself, as a recent college graduate, I actually had to lead and be a part of a task force to have homeless students. And all that fell through because we didn't have services like this to kind of point to and kind of work alongside. So now we're able to really rectify that because it's becoming an ever greater problem at UCF, especially given how expensive things are becoming around there.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, we work very closely with Dr. Nadu and the student services, and she's been a great partner. When we have been slow with our funding and like rental assistance, she's been able to step in and like offer a weekend to hotels for this amount of time that you can step in with the rental assistance. So it's been a really wonderful partnership to have them at the table and planning and be able to point to people and call like, hey, we have this case, can you help us out, or vice versa. They call us, we have this weekend, is there a way you can help navigate it? So I'm really proud of those partnerships. I'm really proud of the work and like how we have been able to bring more people alongside and get the word out there. And from where I sit, it can only get better as we continue to face challenges. I think we grow and we learn and we keep working together.
Who's going to contact me?
Dr. Cindy Mizzou, she's the director of student services.
Like I said, former UCF student, I know research.
And just wanted to let you know how you can get in contact with us. This is the number that you can call for, 774-31762, or you can email me at renee@saltoutreach.org. Our youth and young adults can also scan this QR code and it takes them to a referral form that they can complete. And we can see that and reach out to the youth and young adults. And I do have flyers with that QR code as well. That it can be shared.
That's a wonderful way, and I think people definitely leave some and like bring some more about wonderful. If you see a young person, like they can take that if they have a mobile device, or you can work with them to key in their information and their location, and we can try to coordinate to get someone out there to have a conversation and implement the resources.
And you mentioned earlier that you connected with 211 as well, right?
Yes.
And I just called 211, they'll be connected to it as well.
Yes.
They know who you are.
211.
They know who you are.
Yes.
211.
Yes. Oh, yes. They do. We coordinate. We have weekly meetings with 211.
Cool.
Yes. Yep. And this is a QR code, and I've worked some resources here as well to learn more about the Brighter Days Community Initiative, to stay up to date with what we're doing and how to partner how to get involved, this QR code will take you to the page. And as I say, we are continuing to roll this out. We're learning as we go, but I think one of the greatest things is that we are housing people. And so that is all. That is it from us.
Alright. I know a lot of questions were asked during the presentation, but does anyone have any other questions?
I just want to say thank you for the work that you do. It's so important. You already know, but often overlooked. Homeless people are often stepped by and stepped over, and it takes a lot to do these services. So thank you so much for what you're doing. Appreciate it. I'd love to work with you guys more too.
Yeah. If I have information, I'll leave cards behind. I have some little fun swag items as well. So thank you all for allowing us the opportunity to come be a part of the and to share about what we're working on.
So I had the opportunity to fill in for Commissioner at the
Campaign lunch.
campaign, yeah, and met Aja, and I thought the presentation that they had given was amazing. But on top of that, to have one of my former students to be a part of their program, and she was very vibrant, very appreciative to the services that's being offered, so much so that she is kind of a poster child to the program.
Yes.
But just to see that though, speaks volume of what you all are doing. And I can echo what this gentleman said as it pertains to getting this word out and making sure that more people know about it. That, of course, as these gentlemen have already said, they work extensively on an idea that Commissioner has come up with for a homeless initiative throughout the county, so that we can figure that out, what that means, and having people who we can partner with, specifically HSCN, the Bright Days initiative, SALT. I think this is, we're right at the right place where we need to be, but now we just gotta spread the word. Out there. So I'll be like that about it.
Yeah. And if ever we need to show up, I'm always willing. I'm out there probably once a week spreading awareness. I'm tabling events. So anyway, and our young people, that's one thing I failed to mention. We do partner with young people that have lived experience of homelessness, some that are currently going through homelessness, some that have come out and in the process of their own housing journey, and they help us to really understand where we should be and how we should be doing the work. And they hold us accountable. And they are right there alongside of us building the system. So we're
Yeah, so the initiative that they mentioned, we're trying to figure out how many extra units and different AMI levels we need in order to make sure that, I guess, everyone's housed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're trying to come at this, a couple different ways. One of the things that I've been doing is, trying to put together the national models of predictors of homelessness don't work so great at the metro and the county level, right? Because I'm speaking to you already know this, but maybe not everybody else. Each city and each area is unique and different. So, at the national level, rent prices are a big driver of homelessness. Looking at the data at the county level, it seems to be like rent as a percentage of income is the bigger driver than just, absolute rent price. And so we're trying to figure out first, like, what are these big factors that are driving people into homelessness in our community? And then secondly, if we know what those factors are, how can we address this kind of combined issue? Because it seems like the affordable housing issue is completely intertwined with this, at all levels. Because we find that on the affordable housing end, families that are making 50% or less of area median income are spending way over 30% of their income on rent. And so that seems to be like this target group that are also at high risk to dipping into homelessness, whether it be temporary or something else. So yeah, that's what our office is working on right now. Ethan and I are putting together literature and we're trying to run some statistical models to figure out what it looks like for our metro area, and then maybe come up with some policies at the county level to start addressing that.
And on the flip side of that.
Well, it's trying to find out too, the trend.
Yeah.
Like to see if there's a way, like a correlation that can lead into a trend so that, because we're dealing with Vision 2050 and want to be able to see, Vision 2050 isn't addressing affordable housing and homelessness. It's only addressing inventory. That's not going to address the issue because the inventory isn't the issue, the affordability is.
Right.
So, like, at what levels do we need the inventory? Yeah. And, so if, well, it started off with that one statistic, which, Nick is finding isn't really relative to our area. Well, so it started off with the statistic, for every $100 rent goes up, increases homelessness by 9%, right? When he ran the statistics, all the data he pulled, it was a factor of like how much money they made and the rents.
Yeah, so it was rent as a percentage of income for our area.
Yeah.
The national study looked at like the 20 biggest areas, like New York City, San Francisco, Phoenix, those places, and it just wasn't relevant to our metro area.
But we have the lowest wage of
Yeah,
the nation, so it makes sense,
right.
that we have that unique like factor in it. So looking at that, can we figure out like how much, like how many homelessness shelters do we need? How many affordable housing units do we need at the 30% AMI, 50% AMI, and such, so that when we're looking at Vision 2050, it's not just because right now our staff is looking at Vision 2050 and saying we need, I forget what the number is, like 60,000 more units by 2050. What was the, do you know that? Do you remember either? So it's like, let's say it's 60,000 units by 2050, right? Or additional units, whatever. Well, that's just inventory, but how does that relate to the different levels of income level?
Yeah.
So if we can figure that out, then we could write policy to be able to make these, because we have money. I know we're always like, we need money, where's the money coming from? But if we use that money more wisely, and the county actually invested in building some of these units that are needed, no offense, but we might put you out of the job.
I think that should be the goal, right?
Yeah, that should be the goal.
I am a certified therapist and school counselor, so I was like, I'm not gonna be short of a job.
And in the meantime, as well, like that's where my side of the coin comes into, because I've been trying to find out how many resources the county really employs. Because the more I've been researching this, the more that's becoming clear that the county, as much as has a lot of good efforts and initiatives to this, is very disjointed and very uncoordinated. So I've been researching into into case studies in how other jurisdictions have coordinated their efforts as well. See if we can model that and what key pillar policies have been enclosed in that. So like for example, these initiatives, as well as like permanent supportive housing, I'll get that figure for later, and rapid rehousing have all been pretty prominent in this policy area. So we are able to reform our core strategy to be able to better address this. Because like the amount of money that we've been putting into, and I've been looking at the budgets for this today, no matter how much money we put into it, if we have an uncoordinated strategy, those numbers are going to keep going up.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, rehousing, and you know this, rehousing it works. That is the solution. But what exactly is rehousing? Rehousing is cuts out of housing. Actually putting someone in a home. So if we solve that one problem, I mean, hypothetically, it should solve the problem.
Well, I'll tell you right now, based on like the preliminary stuff I looked at, for people making 50% of AMI, you're looking at rent in this area about $950 a month. And I mean, you look around, where do you find
I was
$950?
saying that's nearly impossible. We have a whole team.
Yeah.
I think it's important to know too,
Yeah,
like,
studio is now 1,700.
as we have inventory, I think one thing that we continue to be aware of is that I think within the last 3 years, rent has gone up almost on average $500. So, right, like we can like continue to communities called functional zero, right? We have a host of thousands of people that are in line that we know that need housing in Orange County, Semi-Field, right? do we have enough resources, like dollars, to be able to pay for the inventory that we have, right? That list is only going to continue to get longer as people continue to increase rent, as people continue, as wages do not go up, right? So when you talk about how disjointed it is, we all have to talk. We all have to think about wages and what affordable wage looks like. We have to think about how in the industry where people can make however much money they want on a unit on a house, right? Like they can raise it up to the limit, right?
But
We have
that's
to
what,
also
I'm
talk about that.
sorry to interrupt, but those are two things we don't have no control over though. Wages and prices going, rents like going up. And the reason why we can't control those two things is they were preempted by the state.
Yeah.
So my thing is, let's look at what we do have control over. And what we do have control over is that we have money. They're putting over $116 million into affordable housing trust fund that could be used to create units. And we could create them in a way that we get our money back, so we can just keep making more. So like in Nashville, Tennessee, I was telling them about this earlier. They're doing these apartment complexes, which is multiple income. So some of them are market rate, and the market rate subsidizes the affordable ones. So you're getting your money back that you put in, and then you can use whatever money you're getting back into another one, and then to another one, to another one.
It's sustainable.
It's sustainable, exactly. So that we can control. The problem is that I know there's just the mindset of the county that they don't want to own any affordable housing units. But that's the only way we can make it happen.
Have you guys brought Brian and Martha to the table? Because they are doing a lot of like community planning around. They have a lot of data around the mix of low income, affordable, mid. Like they've been running those numbers as we're talking about.
So I did talk to Martha, and I told her I want her involved in this.
This is the first I'm hearing about Martha, but I'd love to meet
Oh,
either.
well, she hasn't, actually, I sent her an email and she hasn't responded. So, you need to get Martha, yeah. But I did, when I first came up with the idea, I told her about it, I told her I want her involved.
Okay.
And I told her this is what we need, I told her, that was when she came and she did the presentation at the BCC. I don't know if you remember that. That's when came up with the idea and approached her about it, that's when we started working on it. But, yeah, you just want to say
Two things. Comment on what you said earlier about the question. Your point about figuring out what the costs need to be for people to afford housing at different AMI levels is very important, because in Central Florida, there's no lack of building. You're building all kinds of things. Everywhere you turn, there's new construction. But it's luxury townhomes and luxury homes, 4 and 5 bedroom homes. That's not where people can start in home ownership. And so one of our strategies has also looked at how much house can someone at 50% of AMI, 80% of AMI, 100%
introduce yourself so they know who you are.
Asia and I know each
Oh,
other.
you do? Okay. All right.
Here,
I'm all over.
Yeah.
But that's a very important point that we really need to look at, because just building our inventory is not going to solve the problem.
No,
That's
they
going to
keep
help all the
raising
people
them.
that are
Right.
living here from other places, but for the people at the lower income levels, we need to build some things that they can afford. I was in a session in Lake County, and the gentleman said, what we think of as tiny homes now, in the 50s were just homes. That's just how we built it. They were 1 or 2 bedroom homes. Now we would consider those tiny homes, because what we're building is 4 and 5 bedroom homes, which is great for people that can afford that. But for all the people we're talking about, can I get a 1 or 2 bedroom house that I can start with, stabilize myself, and build up to, use the equity from that to build up to something else. So that's a very important point that we really need to look at those things. Question to you ladies is, what volunteer opportunities do we have? How can we help, besides, helping focus on the policy and sending people away? What types of volunteer opportunities?
Uh-oh.
So we have different volunteer opportunities, and some of those are on our website as well. So if anyone wants to get involved, they can come and work with our youth and see firsthand, some of the issues that they deal with. They can come and help with some of the outreach services. They can offer donations towards some of the programs that we have for our youth. So those are some of the volunteer opportunities. They're all outlined on our website.
It's mentors.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I just wanted to comment real quick on what you were saying about KMI. At our last Vision 2050 community meeting, we had an attorney from OCPS who came and joined us and commented. And there's one thing that he said that I haven't been able to get out of my head. He was talking about the need for schools and for younger people. He said if you look at all of these apartments that are around Claykeola, there's a single kid in there in public school in OCPS. He said you look at the new apartments that were built back by the UCF Valencia Joint Center, and all of them in public school. And so you see this stark difference, like right there. Like here is a downtown that is completely unaffordable, and in fact it's only affordable for people who are probably the highest tier of income here. And then we have maybe a little bit here that helps, but it's not anything compared to that inventory that we have sitting around the lake or sitting around other places. And so that's the key, and that's what we've been looking at is there's such a lack of that 80%, 50% AMI inventory in this county, and there's a lack of wills, it seems, so far to want to do anything about it. And I mean, the reality is all of this will have to take some kind of incentivizing to get people on board. It's simply not profitable unless you're helping somebody along.
Yeah, that's true. And I wanted to throw something out too, because I heard what you said, and it's very important, but there was a kind of an underlying flow of your thought that housing needs to be single family ownership. And I just think that is absolutely not the case. And I don't think that Orange County is ever going to successfully address its housing crisis with single family, for sale to the owner type housing. We have to get accustomed to living in more dense urban environments. We have to get accustomed to, I think people are already accustomed to renting instead of owning. And maybe ownership is a long-term goal, but the immediate need is to get housing to get you out of your car, off the streets, or wherever it is that you are.
There are multi-family home ownership opportunities as well. So
Yeah, sure. There's every level, but
we're working on our initiative is focused not just on single family, but townhomes and condos,
right.
and manufactured homes, and really looking at 3D printed homes and all kinds of avenues to
Whatever works, basically, sounds
Yeah.
like.
because housing is the big major crisis. And so for the people that they're working with, getting them into rental is key because it gets them out of their cars, shelters, and things like that. Homeownership is, I think, the ultimate goal because that puts them in stable housing. Asia mentioned the rental increases that we've seen that are just out of control. Homeownership gets rid of that because your mortgage is what your mortgage is. It'll fluctuate a little based on insurance and taxes, but nothing like rents. It also creates economic stability for the family. You see educational stability, better health outcomes. There's so many of the social determinants of health that are improved by homeownership. And so that's what we're focusing on. But certainly,
It's financial
starting with
stability.
housing, period.
Well, if you're homeless, you can't get a job because you have to give an address. So it's important that you folks are providing an address form that they could actually use in order to go out and get it
I'd
on.
be surprised how many homeless people have jobs.
Yeah,
That's just
that's
one,
my
multiple
impression.
jobs. They go to work every
They're
day
able to do it.
and do not have a place to come home. and
The
live.
people that I see camping in their cars, they seem to me like they have regular jobs.
They're working.
They simply cannot afford rent because rent in my neighborhood is just ridiculously expensive.
Well, they're a step ahead then.
I'll share my own anecdote. It's a number of years ago when I lived in South Florida before I moved up to Orlando. I was full-time employed and I lost my place and I was living out of my car 3 weeks. I temporarily homeless. And I was literally parked in a bank parking lot 2 blocks from the apartment that I could no longer afford.
Yeah.
And that's where I spent my nights in my little Ford Focus, put the seats down, had a blanket and a couple pillows. And eventually, again, somebody let me couch surf and somebody let me, take the steps to get back on my feet. I still had income coming in. I was still going to work every day, but, it just wasn't enough. My landlord's like, oh yeah, you want to renew? Well, everything's going up now.
Yeah.
So we're going to need to, first nickel and dime you on the security deposit. And then if you want to come back, it's going to be, $400 a month more.
Emily, what about housing assistance? I know Orange County has housing assistance. Is that anything that can be tapped into for rental properties or helping to pay
So
for rent
there
for
are
some of these people?
different, with your HSN, you want me that?
Yeah,
So do you want me to answer?
you can.
Okay, so we do have different programs, and one of them is rental assistance.
Right.
We have a certain amount of funding in that.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's run out before the end of the year,
I see.
yeah.
It's nothing like what we had during COVID, and there was a lot more assistance. Now they've gone back to pre-COVID levels, that's really for emergencies,
It's not
and it may help for me.
Gotcha.
But unlike with
It's
COVID.
to keep someone from losing,
Well,
from,
that's what I,
it's prevention, you
prevention,
know,
yeah.
but we still don't have enough money.
And it's sort of prevention because they have to already be behind and on the verge of eviction
Right.
before they qualify for
Right.
any services. So that, I think they actually have to have an eviction notice before they get qualified, which is
So there's the
ideally
rental,
preventing them from getting evicted, but you're already in bad shape.
Yeah.
when you get to that point.
and then there's the bill assistance too, like, your energy bill or something like that, so that if it's paying your rent or paying a bill, get your utilities cut off,
Okay.
there's assistance for that
Right.
as well. Again, it's a preventive measure.
Yeah.
There's also there's one too where if you are homeless, that they will put you in an apartment, pay for your rent. So there's the rental assistance that's preventive, and then there's the one that's after.
That one's called the largely record rehousing.
Rapid rehousing.
Rehousing, okay.
Is there any else on the list?
I mean, we have prevention.
If we pick a
got
hotel
prevention,
stays
hotel, like those are like what we call like bridge housing and like
Bridge
hotels
housing.
for like short, immediate, hopefully for bridging people that we have a next step for, kind of like the hold on line.
Good.
Yeah, so they have hotels and they have apartments where some landlords offer, to provide housing, if we need it,
Right.
So I know Martha has worked on some of those initiatives.
Yes. We, with our, for the youth, the short-term housing, we are using a mix of hotels and like houses that we're under contract with to be able to house you there. And we have like a really low rate, like with extended stay, almost like $55 a night. We're able to do that for a long period of time. But the idea is to move into more permanent housing. But that is a quick way to get people off the street, privately housed with decency and privacy until we figure out what the next steps in the plans are.
Great job. Working all the angles.
Yes.
But it'll probably be cheaper if we actually had the units.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It all comes down to housing units.
Well, I mean,
So it's planned and preventive,
And before you guys leave, actually, we do have somebody here who takes care of the homeless. The telephone reporter here, this woman in the back, she actually may need some assistance beforehand because she is currently living in a hotel at this moment in time, and she has until Friday to find further assistance. So we're gonna try and get our aide here who can translate, because I'm not sure if she. Habla español? Sí, ¿todo inglés? Yeah.
Amiga, que van a buscar a alguien para que la ayude. Hablar con
Sí. Yeah, so I just want to point, I hope everybody has services that practice here.
So we could, I don't know if you're gonna step out for that,
Would you like,
or if you want.
now or?
I don't know,
Like
do you
how-
want to go through the rest of the agenda?
Yeah.
Or do you want to go, do they have to leave? Yeah, how about you go take care of that?
I- Yeah, I'll be with them to help them out. And then Tina can, when people just out there, so we see this. I can't speak Spanish, but I do.
No, it's fine.
No, there's stuff in there.
Can I read some of the flyers?
Yes, of course, of course.
Yes, please, thank you.
That's how we can fax it. And I'm sorry to put you guys in a spot like this. Senor.
Yeah.
Gracias, compromiso.
Right. Moving on to the next part then, our next.
Yeah, did you just turned off?
The share.
Okay, alright, so the next item on the agenda are the reports. The first item is the rural boundary. So the rural boundary is getting onto the ballot.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so the people have the opportunity to vote on it. And decide their future. Yeah, it's unanimous by the board.
Nice.
There's a lot of people in the community that showed up. It was mostly District 5, but there was some a showing of support from the other districts as well. It's not late, sorry, I hardly slept, like a lot this
And
week.
where is that, east Orlando?
The
So the
rural
rural boundary
How
is,
far out is
it's east and west.
East and west.
Yeah.
Yes, it's all parts of the county, but it excludes the urban service boundary. It excludes municipalities and joint planning areas.
Okay.
So areas that have already, had, some kind of entitlements.
Yeah.
Like, Horizons West, for example. Or the joint planning area between Orange County and Eldora. Right, so those are exempted, but anything outside of the urban service boundary, with few exceptions. Like I think that Black Creek area got accepted out.
Yeah, Bonnie Creek got our first there.
Horizon West.
So is it on the primary?
What was that?
It'll be on the general. Good question, yeah, it's on the general.
No, that's part of it.
General election ballot.
Yeah.
November.
And it'll read pretty clearly
Hmm.
in terms of what you're voting for.
Well,
I mean,
I'm not
I
sure.
think
I
that's,
also
that's
believe
up to your,
that
that's up to your
unconstitutional.
interpretation. I think it's up to your interpretation, because there's only so many words you could put.
What is it,
so-
like 75 words we're limited to for
Yeah.
the
So
minority?
whatever, however they can explain it in
So
75
are you gonna
words.
give us some advice? Or can you do that?
I don't know how the law, like, in this environment, I know we can't use county resources to promote, for or against it, so we can just educate.
I
That's
mean,
what I meant.
the BCC, the agenda with the documentation and the video should be online very soon, so you can watch the video and
Oh,
see it explained by staff and the board, discuss it. But, it's an opportunity for the citizens to decide, what kind of protections, if any, they would like for the rural areas.
The
That has to
the live stream can also be on the Orange County government's
All right.
YouTube account.
Sounds
I
like,
don't think they took it down from the YouTube account, so it's on the county website though,
okay,
yeah, and video archives.
okay.
It's on the Orange TV archives, right?
It should
Orange
be.
TV, yeah.
Really, I tried searching past BCC, they take it down. I haven't been able to find that. I have to go to the county website and the video archives to find the videos.
So just to make it simple, people that are voting for it want to keep it rural, and people voting against would want to say, go ahead and develop it.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I
and for any kind of future land use change in those areas designated as rural, they would have to come in front of the board and have the board
Sure.
approve that change with a
Right.
with a majority plus one.
Sounds super good.
Yeah, majority plus one.
Well, they got- All right.
Yeah, any other questions? Okay, so the next item is annexation. So the annexation came before the board also yesterday, and we discussed the wording of it pretty much, and that's moving forward. So there'll be a public notice going out for the public hearing. And at our next BCC meeting, there should be a vote on whether that's going to go on the ballot or not. And that is also a supermajority if the Board of County Commissioners, says we approve an annexation by city going forward.
What part of the city are they looking to?
The cities? I couldn't really say.
Well, I mean, currently it was just Orlando did the big sub-bridge and Innovation Way annexation. And that's kind of one of the things that has helped spur this along, but it wasn't the first. And in the meantime, since this has been going on, I want to say it was another 1,000 acres next to Sunbridge, just requested annexation of land development down there.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Especially this year.
Yeah. But this is according to
Caribe?
something like that. But according to the news articles, the local news articles that came out, basically they expect there to be a run of annexation before this, as this gets passed through the board and hopefully onto the ballot with the people a chance to choose.
It's pretty common for the developer that owns a parcel that's in the county, but just outside of a municipality, to use the threat of annexation to get what they want from the county. That happens.
Yeah, so for this latest one, for instance, Camino Real, which Ethan just got us the name for, this was a planned development that was okayed by the county, and they have requested, it's a voluntary annex into the city of Orlando with no change to their planned development. So basically, supposedly, but basically they gone ahead and gotten their plan approved by the county, and then said, oh, we now want to be part of the city because then the city has to provide service. And
So we don't have to worry about this unless we see it on the ballot.
Well, hopefully the board votes for it to be on the ballot.
Yeah.
But voting yes on this charter means that you want the county to review it before the city does one. Voting no on it means you're just gonna let the city just run wild and annex whatever they want.
yeah, so the way the laws are written right now, in a voluntary annexation, the county has no right of review.
Yeah.
So if the area wants to voluntarily join the city, and the problem that's come up, or at least the main issue that's come up, is that it's not just individual, like a neighborhood that's all joined together with houses that are like, oh, we'd like to become part of the city now. It's developers with a large planned development that are now opting in.
Thousands of acres.
They have an agenda.
Yeah.
So what is the relationship between the rural boundary and annexation? Like,
So
is it just to stop that from happening?
So the rural boundary is the rural boundary for
Right.
the rural area. The annexation, if we don't do the annexation, could be used as a loophole to people to get around to the rural boundary.
Right. Okay.
So they could annex the rural area and then do
So-
whatever they want.
So, could you answer a question I have? If the city annexes, say, City of Orlando annexes part of Orange County, are they on the hook to provide services, and is
Not
the county
necessarily.
then off the hook?
No, that's not necessarily, that's a problem with annexation.
Right,
That the county has no say over, like,
land use,
the
even though
county
they're still
still
on the hook
may,
to provide infrastructure.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
so it's, doesn't necessarily mean the city's gonna pay for everything, do everything or whatever.
Right.
So,
Okay.
So how do those boundaries work? I'm thinking like trash, fire, police, water.
So it depends on the city, because, you know, different cities have different, contracts, you know, or different city charters, right? So some of them might use the county sheriff, some of them might have their own police. That's the best example to kind of use. You know, so it just depends on the city, what kind of, whether they have that service or they don't, if they use county service or what. Do you have any insight? I mean, you work for cities, so maybe you have a little bit more
No,
insight.
no, what you just said was spot on.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, what you said was spot on. So it's all about the resourcefulness of that city, right? So with City of Orlando, they have their own both fire department, police department, so utilities. You see what I'm saying? So it's all about the resourcefulness of that city.
In other municipalities, like I'm thinking about like Edgewood uses Orange County Fire. But Maitland uses a Popka Police, you know, and it's all up to these municipal agreements. I think one of the big pictures here connecting the two is like, you know, really a lot of this would be solved if the counties and the county and the municipalities work together. And I mean that's I mean, because that's what all this is getting at, right? Is that, you know, we wouldn't have this kind of the people in East Orange County would be calling for a rural boundary if they could trust that the county and the municipalities weren't going to you know, take away their way of life that they've come to appreciate and want in Florida, in Central Florida. So I think that's really like one of the crux, like underlying issues here. It's like, okay, we should all be working together, right, to do what the people want to do.
This is just Commissioner speaking again.
I know, I got that hippie thing in me, I don't know what to
Yeah,
say.
we were talking about something before this meeting, so I just kind of was good on that.
Okay, any more questions on annexation? Okay, the film incentive initiative, so, the board, last time I gave an update, had approved to have a work group of industry experts come together to decide on how a film incentive would look like in Orange County. So we have some dates on when those will happen. I bet no one, but does anyone my stuff remembers those things?
When you said that, I was like, let me go in and find it now. Now I give you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna send out, see how they do it. Yeah. Commissioner, Dinwiddie wants to interview you after this.
The what?
Dinwiddie wants to interview you after this.
Okay, then I know some Spanish.
Probably speaking Russian.
I know they do.
I thought that
No, they want to know Spanish though.
I expect you to speak Spanish.
It's been a day. Yeah, I felt like a singer.
All right, so we have those work group dates set, hopefully by the fall. They'd have something together to present to the board on the film incentive. And it looks like, you know, there's support for that as well. I mean, the film incentive will definitely benefit Orange County and our economy and our tourism.
August
Is there
20th,
any
right?
way to get some of that funding out of the tourist tax?
That's what I wanted to do,
Yeah,
but no one wants to let it go.
and I think the tourist tax should pay for French since Ron DeSantis pulled all the funding for French.
But
And French brings a lot of people into the town every year.
did you hear what Fringe's counteroffer was to the state? Fringe said that
Don't give us any grants.
they said we will not take any of the money if the state really has the issue with Fringe Tampa and Fringe Orlando will refuse any kind of state funding. And that's not the issue. I mean, that's the issue that's talked about, but it's more than that. It's, you know, the state doesn't like the arts.
But
So,
Tuesday, August 20th, here at Admin Building.
Only
9
one
to
day?
12. 20th, Wednesday, September the 11th.
Okay.
Also 9/11, Tuesday, October 1st. So those are first three working weeks.
They're gonna want to work for him on primary day?
What? No, that's October.
No, Tuesday, August 20th.
Oh,
Primary.
that is, yeah.
So this is to provide money to bring the film industry here to do more filming here.
And we had a town hall that was virtual, and with some of the people in the industry, you know, just like workers and stuff, people interested, and so I came up with a really good idea. Oh, actually, it was me. Sorry, it's been a long day. So after like hearing everybody, I kind of came up with the idea that so when you work, I used to work in the film industry. You know, I went to film school and stuff. So when you do a film, right, you could either pay someone, you know, for working on the film, or you can give them a percentage of the profits, or you could do both, right? And so sometimes you have producers who help produce the film, and they get a percentage of the film. So I thought, well, the county for giving a film incentive is like being a producer. So perhaps the county should get a percentage of that film, you know, the profits.
Right.
So, and that can help then fund the film incentives going forward, so that it becomes self-funded.
Sure.
We need another film or we go up, and that would be great. With something else in the house.
Yeah.
I would do that.
Sure.
So,
You just lift up LYFT.
Yeah, so, you know, that way you don't have to keep putting like any of the general fund into it or worry about putting TBT into it, you know, it can actually fund itself. And so, I mean, they shouldn't have any problem giving a share of their profits since they do that for producers and we are in essence helping fund their project. So that's something, I'll bring up to the work group to see if that's something they could put into their, if they think that's a good idea, put into
Makes sense.
Any other questions on the film section? Okay, Vision 2050 Orange Code.
Work session.
Yeah,
Work.
there's a lot on that one, so, you know, definitely a lot of information we've learned about it. We had a sunshine meeting with 3 commissioners, including myself, not too long ago about it. That video is on our YouTube channel, and help me out.
So, you know,
Embrace.
just Vision 2050, Orange Code is gonna be the new comprehensive plan that Orange County is working towards. We have a lot of concerns about it. OCPS has a lot of concerns about it. Other municipalities within Orange County have concerns about it. And so we basically started trying to bring community members together to review this. We're talking about, you know, hundreds of pages through the new updates to Orange Code, and so it's a lot for anyone to go through. What we have been discovering is that there are issues. Nobody has done a form-based comprehensive plan at the county level of this size before, and so we have concerns about how this is going to impact particularly future rural land use. The idea of form-based coding is to look at your county area and kind of target specific areas for growth and infill. It works really well for urban service area, places that have already been developed. So you can say, oh, well, we can now start infilling these empty lots, break these empty lots down smaller, and put more dense housing, or put multi-unit housing in places. The issue that it has is that it also changes some of the land use that we've found through constituent concerns. OCPS doesn't have any plan for how to address future growth that has been estimated by the county at almost 500,000 new people by the year 2050. We also found out that transportation hasn't been addressed through Vision 2050. How do we
Or affordable housing.
or affordable housing? How do we?
And may cause displacement.
Yes, and so we're finding all of these issues, and so The timeline for this is they want this completely done and beginning to be implemented. November is their end date. And September being the last public meetings on the issue. And so we are trying to kind of gather our constituents in the community, work with other commissioners and their community members to go through the code, find out problems, bring it to staff and get it addressed. We have our next meeting August 6th. August 7th, we're going to the Orange County Public Schools meeting that's holding a meeting on Vision 2050. So this is a work in progress, basically trying to figure out, if this is really what's going to be implemented by the end of the year, let's make sure that we get it right before it's, And so it's you can visit the Orange County website. You just Google Orange County Vision 2050. They have the documentation there. They also have, we urge you to use their GIS tool, which is a mapping tool, and you can see what your old area is currently zoned at and what Vision 2050 would change under the new Orange code. And part of that too is to make sure that your mapping is correct, because we found a lot of mapping errors as they transcribe the old maps to the new maps. And so, I don't want to say that it's been, I don't want to say it's been a disaster, but we have been finding a lot of problems that should be addressed before it gets finalized.
I have a concern as well. Isn't that like all of the Vision 2050, even though it's advertised as being this holistic county-wide thing, it only affects like less than 60% of the county.
Yeah, Vision 2050 opts out all the big plan developments like Horizon West. They're free to join after the fact, but it doesn't really impact.
So the PDs.
Yeah, PDs,
and
sorry,
then
PDs.
Municipalities are immediately exempted as well, so that only leaves certain areas in which can disproportionately impact certain districts.
And we haven't had any kind of joint sessions with the municipalities to make sure that our Vision 2050 idea for future land use coincides with the comprehensive plans of the municipalities. So, like, where Orlando ends and Orange County begins is, it's just a line on a map. We want to ensure that there's, continuity across this and not, Orange County's building a water treatment plant here right next to somebody's rural property on the other side. So, there's issues at hand here that we're trying to get worked out before it's finalized.
And if you want to take a look at just how much of Orange County is impacted, you can use the GIS tool that they have. I was playing around with it. Nick was watching mess with it, and we just kind of came across that almost by accident. Yeah.
And then there's also the switching everything like a switch overnight across the whole county. Which, if there are any mistakes, then we can't get back. So
because
I know, like me and Commissioner Uribe are like, just do sections. Don't do it countywide. Blanket. At least that way you do. I've called it intentional. Like, let's apply this intentionally rather than just blah. And if you do that, like, it also gives the opportunity to like a pilot test.
Right.
And it's not all the county, it's just this one area.
Right. A good example of that would be Beachford, South Carolina. This is not me saying it, this is him saying it. I'm not going to do it a bunch.
The other thing I just wanted to bring up, with
Anyway, Dad's from there. I can't help it.
He is?
Oh, he lived there.
Oh, then why couldn't I pronounce it? Or like, I think I pronounced it. I said Boofer.
Yeah,
You're trying to figure out.
The big deal too about this happening overnight is just that, future land use changes can add new entitlements to property. So, basically change what you're allowed to build on your property. And once those entitlements are granted, while we can go back and edit the comprehensive plan to make changes here and there, it's almost impossible to take entitlements back, because once you've granted that right of use to somebody, you can't just say, oops, we've made a mistake.
Right.
And that's really the scary part of this, right? Is that if there is a mistake when we grant improper entitlement, and all of a sudden the sewer treatment plant pops up in somebody's rural property that they've sold to a developer, Sure. I think East Orlando or East Orange people kept saying slaughterhouse, because that was one of the examples in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like all of a sudden you have a slaughterhouse next to your 6 acres in rural Orange County.
Yeah.
That's one of the allowed uses.
Yeah, that's
And that's, and you were there, so there's, the allowed uses are very scary, and we determined that in one of the community meetings we were at, because there's a rural settlement, the Bithell rural settlement, at the very edge of it, was this commercial property. So if we're gonna build something in a rural settlement, it has to, serve that rural settlement. Well, I live right up the street from there, and they had built a storage unit. I'm like, how did a storage unit just pop up here? Like, what is going on? Like, who decided this? Because it didn't come before the board. So that was one of the allowed uses of commercial. However, and I didn't know it was in a rural settlement until we went to that meeting. And I was like, this isn't a rural settlement. Like, this is not serving the rural settlement, And so that should not have been approved. The staff approved that. And they felt that it was something that fit the area. And so that's what I can't trust staff to make these decisions. And with Vision 2050, they'll be making all the decisions.
Wow. That's scary.
And to give you an example, I use the tool to check out. I'm not in Orange, unincorporated Orange. I live downtown here in Orlando, but the map still shows what your entitlements are for your property. And my property, I found out that I can open a daycare or a church with no problems. I am entitled to both of those in my residential area.
Right.
So, you watch out for my daycare coming soon.
Any other questions on Vision 2050? Orange code. Okay. Lake
But
Pickett.
definitely make sure that you all have those dates if you don't already. Just
That are coming up, yeah.
Yeah, you can participate in both the 6th and the 7th. Okay, the 7th is with OCPS. So participate in both.
I'm not sure what Lake Pickett is on here. That's over and done with. We could just scratch that. They are suing the county though.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I foresee we're probably gonna be sued in the rural boundaries there by the cities.
If you get sued, you're doing something right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
What was it, 10 out of 11? 10 out of 11 cities who
Yeah.
were for? And it was
I think I need like a badge for each time the county is sued because of me.
a-
I got like a badge, like an honor.
It was all in jacket.
Like, this is how right, how good or good this, all the stuff I did right. Thankfully, we won all the lawsuits too. So. All right, anything else that we may have forgotten on the reports? Flores. Oh, Flores. Yeah, so we had Flores. Oh my gosh, Flores. We got a lot of new information. It's really, it's not good. It's gonna be about $58 million in the 5-year CIP, which is the capital improvement projects that will be needed to bring it up to the standards of Orange County, which is a lot of money, and that's not including the purchase costs. The purchase cost would be somewhere between, I say 28 to 32 million. I say 28 million because in their calculations of 32 million, they were putting the price at, what was it? I think it was either 25 million.
It was 25 million.
Yeah, and so, but they had committed to between 21 and 23 million. So, and then there's room to negotiate that price based on all the poor condition of places in, which I have to find out though if they took that into consideration into the 25 million.
They did. They used basically 3 different methods to estimate the value of the water treatment plant. One of them looks solely at the money-making potential. One of them looks at the land, and the other one uses a depreciated value. They kind of average all 3, and the number that the consultant came up with was 25.9 million. But there are some immediate issues that would need to be solved that are not part of the 5-year improvement plan, and one of those is the asbestos cement pipes that need replacing. That would boost the initial price up a little bit. That was one of the things that was mentioned. And so there's basically a few moving parts here. We need to find out how much Polaris will actually pay for it, and find out what their number is. And we have to find out how much money the citizens of Wedgefield are willing to see increase in their property taxes, because they would have to get a bond from the county in order to purchase this. And then we have to see if there's any kind of grants or any kind of money available to help pay this $58 million for the 5-year improvement plan. So there's kind of like 3 big moving pieces right now, and we've just started that end of it.
Yep. Good summary.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, that money's also competing with other things that the county would like to do. It's competing against affordable housing.
Oh, well, the county's not paying for any of this, so.
But if the county is gonna underwrite the bond, the county is gonna take a hit in
The
their bond
AAA
rating.
rating, yeah.
They're gonna take a hit in their bond rating, which means that any new debt that the county takes on is gonna be at a higher interest rate. So there's no getting away from that there is a cost to the county for this. There is. So I just want to see the county be very careful about this and not take on financial responsibility that's not really theirs, and that competes against programs that we are in more dire need of, that supports more people and that addresses our long-term goals as a county.
Well, the county doesn't really bond, like the county bond, I'm not saying they don't bond anything, but the county's very specific on what we bond. So like the tourism stuff, the convention center, we bond because the TBT was made to pay for that bond. The utilities, like our Orange County Utilities water system, we bonded money from projects for that. But that's an enterprise fund though, which is paid for by the people who use the water utility. We do not bond the affordable housing.
Right.
Like that's something we would never do. So it's, road projects though, that would be, we try not to bond road projects. Like it has to be a really, really big project for us to bond something like that. But as far as I know, we do not bond road
But the
projects.
utility projects get bonded.
Yes, but it's
They'll get
an
bonded.
enterprise fund though. It's paid by the people, the customers of the utility.
And I just want to point out that I think that's one thing that everybody in the room yesterday was in agreement for, is that this would not be paid for by people outside of Wedgefield. So this wouldn't be an increase in people who are on Orange County Utility Services. This would be solely something that the residents in that service area would do. I don't think there was any support on the board. There wasn't support in the community, and there definitely wasn't support for Orange County Utilities to raise any kind of rates on anybody else. So I think that was pretty clear yesterday. So that kind of helped us understand the situation as well.
So this is Wedgefield, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
And that's within Orange County.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little development right off of the 528,
Way out
520. Yeah, it was supposed to be the next great rocket city for NASA employees, and it turns out to be a case of suburban sprawl in the middle of in the middle of a little protected area on one side, and nothing on the other side.
Well, it sounds like it's gonna be their bond, and they'll pay for it, receive the benefit.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to figure out.
Not right away though,
No.
because it's gonna take years for them to receive the water quality
That they need.
that they need.
So it's gonna be very painful for them with the increased costs, and there's still poor quality water.
Retrofit.
Because
I mean, it's even like simple things like, Orange County keeps a lot of its wells are undercover now, to prevent exposure to the elements.
Yeah.
These things have been sitting out exposed to the elements for 60 years with minimal service to them. I mean, we have the pictures in the report, but it's just
They're in bad shape.
a lot of it's in bad shape.
Well, it's not just the the maintenance of the equipment, the fact is East Orange County has run out of fresh water.
Oh, that was another thing that was
Yes.
found in the report too, that their water usage permit is expiring soon. It will have to be renewed and they don't have the capacity to continue serving any more growth in Litchfield.
Yeah.
And so the county would have to apply for a new permit. And I think there was even some concern if they would be approved.
Yeah, they're pushing, according to Plurus's data, they're pushing right up against their withdrawal limit from the aquifer, and it's their permit, has increased over the years, but the growth in the demand for water from the communities also increased at a little bit of a faster pace, and so
So they
they're
keep
right.
developing.
They're
Well, it's not just water that's used there.
Yeah.
There's the Cocoa Beach well field, which is near there,
But they don't.
and Cocoa Beach quit using it because they ran out of fresh water. And they
Oh,
bought
I
they bought new well fields that's near Lake Nona area.
Yeah.
So they suck their fresh water all the way from Lake Nona area and pipe it out to Cocoa Beach because they already sucked all the fresh water out of the aquifer in their area. So,
it's like,
no, in the long term.
well, what's it gonna mean for our whole settlement here in Orange County in the long term? To me, managing the aquifer is one of the most critical tasks that the county has. And so that includes what's going on out at Wedgefield, what's going on with the Cocoa Beach well fields, what's going on with the development, and where should the development go? These are all
Yeah.
questions that need to be considered.
But so just outside the city of Orlando and just outside Lake Nona are 2 well pumps that belong to the city of Cocoa Beach. Because they're pulling up salt water, so they had to move more inland for their well system.
yeah, we've been having saltwater intrusion issues in the aquifer, but since I was a kid growing up in the 80s, I remember that's when I first started hearing about it in elementary school. And with sea level rise and the continuing pumping, more salt water is seeped in, and we're running out of water. And Warren's absolutely right. It's, the thing too that I think is the big picture here that we started to notice is that all of these things are connected, right? Vision 2050, rural boundary, annexation, the water issues in Plurus. There's all an underlying current here of how to properly manage growth, misuse of
Resources and not
Sustainable
proper
yes.
planning.
I mean, that's the thing that's binding it all together, right?
So a lot of these are unsustainable. It's unsustainable for Cocoa Beach to come to Lake Nona to suck their fresh water out. It's unsustainable for the people that really just continue to live in Wedgefield.
You just made me think about There Will Be Blood, and drink your milkshake. That's what Cocoa Beach is doing. They put a big straw on the ground, and they're drinking our water now.
Well, there is an agreement between Orange County, Cocoa Beach, Desert Ranch to use, I keep forgetting the name of that lake. Taylor Creek, thank you. Taylor Creek for surface water as a source for drinking water.
It's all the same. I mean, we mainly Taylor Creek is still it's still a reservoir that.
From the solution? No, it's not from the aquifer.
No.
It's not.
Surface water, yeah,
Oh.
but it's contaminated, it's dirty.
Well, the other thing is the elevations out there in East Orange County where Taylor Creek Reservoir would be are probably not much more than like 10 feet above sea level. So they're already within the 2 meter likely sea level rise within like 50 or 60 years. So what's that going to do for them getting any fresh water out of that reservoir? I just don't see that there's any sort of viable source of fresh water for East Orange County to grow. And that's why I've consistently been against growth in East Orange County, why the rural boundary needs to be enacted, why the urban service area should extend beyond
Water
the
even for the urban
Sure.
area too.
What's that?
Still water even for the.
Yeah, we do, but the
For that
urban,
growth,
but the
as well.
more urban areas are in the higher recharge areas. We can perhaps manage the aquifer in the areas in western Orange County. right? Like from the Lake County line up to like UCF, you have a very different geology, as you can see on that soils map right there. So you have the high aquifer recharge areas are in the western part of the county. So we can probably manage that. But the stuff in the east, this is going to be very expensive to get fresh water out there to these people. And is it really worth it?
So Cocoa needs to turn to salinization. You got the ocean right there.
And I thought there was another city in Florida that did that.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
I think the city of Tampa has a desalinization plant.
It's expensive.
It's expensive and it's very high energy demand.
Yeah.
That's the next problem, right? Is like we've seen. So we're running up against the border. I'm not going to get into the energy side of things. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there's other ideas for people to get, people in Bermuda, they have cisterns under their homes, which they use rainwater for their water.
Which we're technically not allowed to collect here.
Yeah.
What,
I don't
the
think
state
that's
framed
true.
this from that too?
There's certain areas in the state where the state has blocked rainwater collection.
Oh, good.
The state
They
blocked
blocked it.
Yeah.
through the water management district.
Yeah. I have a good, I have a friend downtown who has a legal cistern. You're only allowed to collect X amount in the city limit. That's what he wants.
Any other questions on this? Okay. So our next D5 NAC meeting will be on August 28th here at 6:30. We do have our second annual Spooktacular Candy Bash, which will be on Saturday, October 26th at the Goldenrod Neighborhood Center. We do need volunteers.
It's your Friday, it'll be your setup time. But then on Saturday, we go from 12 to 4.
But we'll need some volunteers like the day before to help decorate and definitely need lots of volunteers for this type of event, especially the day before, because decorating, takes a little bit of time. And we ask people who are doing the vendors to come the day before to decorate their booths. That way they're not, running into the time the next day.
To try to set up.
We want everything set up way before the kids start arriving.
What time are you going to set up on Friday?
It'll probably be towards the evening. Also like 5 to 9.
And we normally get that form updated for
You are taking, you got y'all.
Yeah.
See that salt look like, do they want to partner with you or would they want their own?
They should have their own table. We have, we can send out to our partners. You can send me the registration of fire again, and I'll send it out a license to our subrecipient.
And then the District 5 Youth Advisory Council, they're gonna do the haunted house. They picked a theme, the haunted mansion. And try to reach out to Disney. Their government liaison person is gonna talk to them, see if they could be a sponsor of the haunted mansion and possibly donate some decorations.
Oh, nice. I would love to have that. I'm not just settled about that.
So that would be cool if they become a sponsor and help out with that. So if you know of any corporations too that would like to help sponsor, to help pay for the event, because it costs a lot of money for all the
Well, if
candy.
they want to underwrite the whole thing.
If they want to underwrite the whole thing, we'll do that too. We do have a selfie stations that we do at the event too, and so anyone who pays for the large sponsorship package, we put their name on top of the selfie station, so everyone who takes a picture at that selfie station, your company name will be there.
Do you have an estimate on what the average sponsorship would be?
Yeah, for your name on the for that big package with the selfie station, it's $500. And then we do have a smaller package.
You're going 5, 200, and then 50.
And then for the vendors, there is a fee.
Nonprofits.
Nonprofits are free, but for corporations, there's a charge for them to help pay for the event. And we ask that everyone brings candy. There's about 500 kids. Yeah, it was really big, really successful. So, like I said, lots of candy. We ask people to bring their own candy, but we buy candy too. So, I want to tell people, we'll try to refill your candy if you run out, but which is why we need a lot of money for the event. But please bring your own candy, that way we don't run out so early.
Budget wise, if somebody wanted to underwrite the whole thing right now, it would be about $6.
I need to know about the free.
It definitely is one of the more expensive events that I hold, which is why we have all these sponsorship packages for it. So, I mean, we're paying for Halloween decorations and candy. Two very expensive.
Haunted house might get Disney to decorate.
Well, donating decorations, like if they have anything that they don't need anymore, but that's gonna be new this time too, so hopefully, we raise enough money for those decorations as well.
I could do some on the ground research for Haunted Mansion.
We do have a contest too. I forgot to mention the contest. So we do have a contest for the best decorated booth at the event, but it's only for nonprofits. So what the nonprofit gets is we donate a whole skybox of magic tickets. So it's like it's almost a $2,000 value. So with those magic tickets, you can raffle them off to raise money for your nonprofit, or you could do an outing with your volunteers or your staff or whatever, however you want to use them. But that's like an opportunity for you to raise $2,000 or more, raffling off those tickets for your organization. So everyone has to decorate their booth the best as possible, or we'll kick you out. Like, don't just show up with just a table and that's it. Like, everyone really goes out of their way to really decorate. Like, it's amazing. You can watch the video on our YouTube channel, a video of the last one. The person who won. So it seems like the interactive ones were the most popular. So the top three, I actually forget the third one, but the one who won had a haunted house in their booth. So we give you a 10 by 10 section, and we suggest that you bring a tent, because then it gives you actually like a roof and more like a wall to be able to decorate better, like in a more creative way. So what these people did, that they had their tent, and they did like a little wall, and you walk through, and they like scared you, and you walk out. So it was really cute, and everyone loved it. They were the winners. And then the other one who won, I think was second place, was Back to Nature, and they brought the animals. So that was, of course, very popular. So they did an owl or a possum or a bat and stuff that they had brought.
That haunted house must have been really popular if they beat out animals.
Yeah. I think it was just the experience. It's interactive, And I can't remember the third one at the moment. But yeah, people did a really good job with their decoration. Our theme for our tent is going to be Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, last year was Barbie, and this year will be Beetlejuice.
Question is, who's gonna play Beetlejuice?
There's a new one coming out.
Fair enough.
The only thing I have to say is, I've come for your daughter, Chuck.
Actually, I'll be doing some underground research.
I'm gonna be down with a little head.
Well, looks like I'll be doing some 10th grade research.
Yeah, it's definitely really a lot of fun, the event. Everyone just loves being part of it. All right, so that's everything. There aren't any other questions. Meeting adjourned.
So we go. Thank you all for being here. Thank you guys.
This is-
Commissioner.